What's going on, everyone? My name is Mighty Duck, and in this video I'm going to show you how I spent over 200 days in Minecraft Cobblemon completing a Living Dex. If this is your first time hearing about Cobblemon, let me introduce you to what I consider one of the best new ways to experience Pokemon. The Cobblemon mod is a mod that seamlessly introduces Pokemon to your Minecraft world, allowing for a fresh new way to experience your own Pokemon adventure. A little over a year ago, I started in on a 3-month journey with the goal of having caught every Pokemon in the base Minecraft Cobblemon mod. After completing that challenge, I tried to think of a way for me to follow that up and decided I would attempt to take it one step further and complete a Living Dex. Over the next 200 Minecraft days, you're going to see how I caught, evolved, and battled countless Pokemon, including some of the strongest legendary and mythical Pokemon, on my way to completing the first Cobblemon Living Dex challenge ever. Here's how it went. Getting started on day 1 of the challenge, the usual first order of business will be picking my starter Pokemon. Seeing as I've had experience catching the majority of the Pokemon in Cobblemon, I figured a good choice this time around would be a Pokemon that gave me a ton of trouble in the past, Bulbasaur. We're gonna go with Bulbasaur. We're gonna go with, there we go, Thickums. Bang. With Thickums added to my party, we were ready to set out for the long adventure that lay in front of us. Right away, I spotted some apricorn trees in the near distance, which luckily dropped my first apricorn sapling of the world. Oh, cool, we got a seed already. That's fantastic. Apricorns in Cobblemon are used to craft Pokeballs, and seeing as this is a challenge that involves a lot of catching, having a renewable source of them early on is going to be extremely important. After grabbing a few different colors of apricorns, I took a quick moment to look at Thickums outside of his Pokeball before getting started on gathering some early game resources. Now would be a good time for me to go over the rules I've set out for this challenge. If you aren't familiar with the concept of a Living Dex challenge, allow me to explain. A Living Dex is only complete once you've obtained one Pokemon of every species and evolution line, so when you open your PC, you'll be able to see the entire catalog of Pokemon from that game in order. For example, if I catch a Caterpie and evolve it into a Metapod and then Butterfree, it only counts towards the final total as a Butterfree, meaning I would then have to catch another Caterpie as well as another Metapod for the evolution line to be complete. Since not every Pokemon from every region has been implemented in Cobblemon yet, I'll only be completing the Living Dex for the original 151 Kanto Pokemon in this video, but if it does well, I'll continue the challenge in another video once more regional Dexes are completed. In case that sounds a little too easy, I've added an additional challenge within the challenge to really push myself. Fishing was added to Cobblemon with the most recent update, and with it, you're able to fish up all sorts of Pokemon, from common to ultra rare starter Pokemon, but there is another encounter within the fishing pool unique to Cobblemon: Patterned Magikarp. The devs added 31 unique Patterned Magikarp variants from the Magikarp Jump mobile game that can only be fished up using an enchanted Pokérod. Not only are there 31 unique Magikarp variations, but there are also 31 unique variations of Gyarados paired with each Magikarp, meaning I'm going to have to fish up 2 of each Patterned Magikarp to complete this challenge. Surely it won't be that difficult. It's just fishing, right? With all that said, that's pretty much it for this challenge, so if we add the 62 Magikarp to the original 151 total, it means I'll have to catch a total of 213 different Pokemon to complete my Cobblemon Living Dex. I can't wait. I spent the early stages of my first night cooking up some food before heading back out and getting into my first Pokemon battle of the challenge. What level are you? Level 11? I think we can take you on. First battle. Let's go. Use Vine Whip. Oh no. Vine Whip. You're adamant. There we go. Let's go, Thickums. Oh, we're asleep again. Bang. Yeah, Thickums. Level 11. Woo! Alright. With our first battle out of the way, I continued on and spotted some copper on the edge of a river. Copper is super important early on as well, as it will allow me to craft our first Pokeballs using the apricorns I picked up earlier, meaning I could finally start catching Pokemon. Oh man, we can now craft Pokeballs on day 1. We're already doing better than we did. With the sun rising on the second day of the challenge, I made my way over to another ruin where I was able to grab 2 Great Balls as well as some Obsidian and Gold, which can be used later on for crafting better Pokeballs such as Ultra and Quick Balls. With 2 Great Balls at my disposal, my eyes were immediately set on catching my first Pokemon, and I knew just the right target. There's a Pidgey. Do we want to catch a Pidgey? What level are you? 12? You know what? I think we can do this. I'm going to catch it. I'm going to try to catch it. Go! Ultra, Great Ball. Come on. Oh no. Okay, hold on. I'm going to use our last Great Ball, which is probably silly, but I want to catch a Pidgey. No, cow! Might have been a little silly of me. After wiping myself clean of what Pokeballs I had, I was forced to carry on without catching a Pokemon. Shortly afterwards, I encountered my first ultra-rare Pokemon of the challenge. Sort of. A Cyndaquil? We don't want you! No, that's too bad. Cyndaquil is a starter Pokemon and thus falls into the ultra-rare spawn bucket, which I'll be touching on a bit later, but seeing as it doesn't belong to the original 151 Pokemon, I won't be making an effort to catch it or any other Pokemon that don't originate from Kanto in this challenge. And yes, that includes any and all shiny Pokemon. Don't be upset with me, it's for the next video. It just means more content. I ended up wandering into a blue apricorn tree and lucky enough was able to get a sapling from one of the apricorns. Of all the apricorn colors, blue is one of the ones I wanted the sapling for the most, as they're required to make quick balls, a ball that has a 5 times boosted chance of catching when used on the first turn of battle. So they'll be incredibly useful in a catching challenge such as this. As the night set in on day 2, I find my way to a large village where I decided to use the XP candies I picked up at the nether structure on Thickums. With them, he was able to grow to level 15 and learn Razor Leaf, as well as Sleep Powder, a move that will be incredibly useful throughout this challenge when trying to catch stronger Pokemon. I threw the copper I had collected in a furnace to smelt, while I spent some time wandering through the town, grabbing any useful loot I could find. I managed to grab some food, as well as a few amethyst shards, which I'll use to craft EXP shares later on in the challenge. In the castle courtyard, I was able to grab a bunch more obsidian, as well as more gold, before using another XP candy on Thickums to get him to level 16, meaning he'd now be able to evolve. Let me put Thickums out again. Here. 16. Oh! Thickums is ready to evolve already. I don't know why I yelled like that. Oops. In the morning, I crafted some Premier Balls using white apricorns and the copper I had smelted. I also grabbed a water stone from the side of a cliff face, which will be needed to evolve certain Pokemon later on. I also evolved Thickums into Ivysaur. Thickums. Thickums. Yay! Thickums. With Thickums evolved, it was now time to start catching Pokemon. I noticed some Butterfree, but felt they were too high level for him to take on, so I turned my focus to a slightly less threatening foe. What about a Caterpie? I feel like we can do a Caterpie. If we can... Where is it? Oh, there you are. Okay, Caterpie. Fight! Sleep Powder! There we go. Can we catch? Oh, we got our first Pokemon. Look at that. A new friend. And it's ready to evolve. Oh. With Caterpie caught and at level 12, I was able to evolve it into a Metapod and then a Butterfree right away, meaning we had successfully added 1 Pokemon to our total. Oh, it's sleeping. It looked dead. With the catching fever taking over, I was able to catch a Mankey and a Weedle shortly after, which I evolved into a Beedrill to bring my total to 4 Pokemon. Oh, he's sleeping as well. God, all of our Pokemon are asleep. In the village, I encountered a level 17 Wild Pidgey who would prove to be a decent opponent for my Ivysaur. Come here. Sleep Powder. Ah, Thickums! Thickums! No! Okay, Whirlwind. Butterfree. Sleep Powder. Oh, we hit it. It's sleeping. It's sleeping. Let's see if this catches. Oh, baby, we are making progress. We are making progress. After making my way down to the water, I was able to catch a wild Magikarp to round out my party, as well as a Horsea soon after, which would be sent to my PC to bring my total to 7 Pokemon. I wound up wandering through a jungle, grabbing apricorns and berries along the way, and also encountering a bunch of Pokemon I could add to my total. Since I knew I'd most likely be spending a large chunk of time in the jungle later on, looking for 2 more Bulbasaur, I decided to hold off on catching any other jungle Pokemon for the time being. At the end of day 4, I found a random house in the middle of a forest and slept away the night before taking the time to cook up some of my food before heading back out on day 5. After wandering around for a while, exploring the world and filling out my map, I was surprised by a very cool spawn. Brother, what? No way! Guys! Look at this! We need this! Oh my god. Okay. What the heck? Put it to sleep, please. That didn't work. Don't be able to, like... Oh no. I don't think I'm gonna be able to catch this. A little more damage, I guess? I don't know. Thickums, no! Oh man, this is gonna be... Oh no. With only 2 Premier Balls, I wasn't sure they'd be able to get the job done, so I used some of the gold I'd collected along with some black and yellow apricorns to craft 4 Ultra Balls and hope they do the trick. Please. Please. Oh my god, we got it! What the heck is that? Are you kidding me? With the shiny Lickitung sent to my PC, I crafted a bed and slept until the morning of day 6. In the morning, I continued on through the valley where I stumbled across a Gimmighoul chest with XP candies, which I immediately used to boost Magikarp's level to 15. Right afterwards, a wild Eevee spawned, so I crafted more Ultra Balls and a set of Quick Balls before attempting to catch it. And we're gonna go Ultra Ball. Ooh, we got an Eevee. After catching Eevee, I found another nether structure chest which had Ultra Balls, Obsidian, and a Revive. Finding a Revive was great as it's needed to craft a healing table, which means I don't need to go looking for revival herbs later on to do so. A bit further ahead, I ran into another wild Eevee which absolutely did not want to be caught. Bro. Thank you. My goodness. With my second Eevee caught and my 10th Pokemon of the challenge, I continued on through the valley, but I was not prepared at all for what would happen next. It's raining. Ah! 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 What level are you? 50. What if I don't catch you? What happens? Oh no. Quick Ball, I guess. Like, I don't know. I'm not catching this thing. What? I definitely did not have catching one of the 3 legendary birds before day 10 on my bingo card for this video, but I was more than happy to get one out of the way early on. Still without a PC, I wasn't able to add Zapdos to my party just yet, so I decided I'd find a place to set up my home base. After boating downriver for a short period of time, I ended up finding a nice little peninsula along a river, which I thought would be the perfect place to build my lab for this challenge, so I placed my bed and slept through the night. On the morning of day 6, I smelted some glass and some smooth stone to use to build a PC, and put all my items in a chest before accessing my Pokemon storage and adding my brand new Zapdos to my party. I checked out his moves and gave him Thunder Wave for paralyzing Pokemon to make them easier to catch, and named him Thor. After exploring the area a bit and grabbing more apricorns, I made my way back towards the river where another ultra rare Pokemon spawned. Brother, what is going on right now? There's a Blastoise in the water. Dive Ball, right now. Where are you? Like, dude, adding yet another level 50 Pokemon to my team this early on was great, as it would allow me to attempt to catch stronger Pokemon, as well as let me take on stronger Pokemon for leveling the rest of my party. I found out I was able to ride on my new Blastoise's back, making for a great way to travel across bodies of water. On the other side of the river, I encountered my third Eevee of the challenge, which I was able to catch, meaning I only needed to find one more to be able to complete the entire evolution line for my Living Dex. I tried flying around on Zapdos, which was a little slower than I would have hoped, but it'll make traveling around a lot easier in the future since it won't eat up any of my hunger. Back at my home area, I got around to planting the apricorn saplings I had been gathering before sleeping through the night to the next morning. On day 8, I woke up to a Pidgeot hanging around in the forest who I was able to catch. Since I already had caught a Pidgey a few days before as well, this meant I only needed a Pidgeotto to complete the evolution line, so I went back into the forest and caught a level 21 Pidgey, which I was immediately able to evolve into a Pidgeotto to complete the evolution line and bring my total to 15 Pokemon. I started placing the few Pokemon I had caught already in their proper spots within the PC, so I could easily keep track of what Pokemon I had and needed to catch going forward. With what Pokemon I had organized within my PC, I decided it was time to explore the surrounding area. I made my way over to a village just across the river and was able to grab some more XP candies as well as a waystone, which will be very useful. I looted a shipwreck that was laying just off the coast, and in the evening I battled a wild Ursaluna with the Blastoise I had caught and was able to get Thickums to level 27 and learn Seed Bomb. Shortly after, I ran into a Weedle, which I was able to catch and evolve into a Kakuna for the Living Dex. Boom. And you will stay a Kakuna forever. Just before sunrise, a wild Ninetales spawned, which I really wanted to catch for my team, as well as for the challenge, and luckily I was able to do so and bring my total to 17 Pokemon before the morning of day 9. Yay. We caught a Ninetales. With the sun up, I hopped on Thor's back and went looking for a place to mine for iron and coal, and found my way into a large ravine just on the other side of the village. I was able to grab a bunch of iron and coal, some lapis to use for crafting EXP shares, gold for better Pokeballs, as well as some diamonds deeper in the cave. Diamonds, there we go. While mining in the depths, one of the rarer Pokemon of this challenge appeared. Oh, wait, a Dratini! Wait a minute! There's a Dratini! Oh, that's a rare find. That's actually really good. Wait. After a short back and forth and a few attempts, I was able to catch the Dratini and bring my total to 18 Pokemon before returning home and sleeping away the night. Yeah, we got a Dratini! On day 10, I found a Zubat flying around, which I was able to catch before using the materials I had just gathered while mining to craft an EXP share, which I gave to Thickums to hold for the time being. Between his Sleep Powder and Thor's Thunder Wave, I had assembled a pretty good team for catching Pokemon early on in this challenge. While clearing some of the forest away to make room for my lab, I was able to catch a Farfetch'd, which brought my total to 20 Pokemon. Back at the river, another fully evolved starter Pokemon spawned, this time a Greninja, which was nice to see as I hadn't spent too much time near the water, but I'd already seen 2 starter Pokemon. Seeing as I'll still need to catch both a Wartortle and a Squirtle to complete the evolution line, this is a good sign for me. With some rain setting in, I took advantage of the downtime and started terraforming the area around where I would eventually build my lab. Into the evening of day 10, another Eevee spawned out near my apricorn trees, which was the 4th and final Eevee I needed to complete the evolution line, bringing me to 21 Pokemon. On day 11, I continued shaping the ground around my home area and harvested what apricorns that had grown on my trees before using them to finally craft myself a Pokedex. There we go, look at this. Pokedex. Bang! Researcher Recruit. This is a Pokedex. This is it right here. This is the main part of this challenge. Oh, he's stressed. He's like, how did I end up here? I don't know, but you're gonna stay there. The following day, I crafted some quick balls and set out to look for spruce wood to use while building my lab. On my way there, I found a Gimmighoul structure with a chest that held a link cable, an item used for evolving Pokemon that require trait evolutions. Seeing as there are 4 Pokemon in the Kanto Pokedex that require trading to evolve, this will be extremely useful in the future. Having cut down an inventory's worth of spruce and oak wood, I returned home and immediately got started building my Pokemon lab.
That's incorrect.
Just immediately incorrect. While I was building, on day 13, I was able to catch a Pikachu to bring my total to 22 Pokemon. I was also able to defeat a wild Golduck with Thor, and the XP was enough to get Thickums to level 32, which meant he was ready to evolve. Ooh, Thickums is ready to evolve! I then swapped the EXP share to Dratini and battled some Pokemon around the area, as I would still need 25 levels before it would be able to evolve into a Dragonite. On the morning of day 14, I got back to building up my lab, which was pretty much all I did through to day 15. While I was building, a war turtle spawned in the river. Oh, war turtle! There's a war turtle! Oh! We just need Squirtle now. Well, we gotta catch it first. Bro, is that a Quackball? Or a Quaxwell? Oh my god. I'm gonna just try a dive ball. I'm scared to hit this thing. We caught it! Finding a war turtle was great, as it's an ultra rare spawn, but it meant I only needed a Squirtle now to complete the line, meaning if I found another war turtle or Blastoise, it wouldn't help me towards my end total. Still, I was excited nonetheless. So we will evolve right now into Venusaur. Yeah, Thickums! There you are! Can we ride Thickums? We can! On day 16, I set out in search of black apricorn trees in hopes of finding a black sapling. While crossing the ocean, I was able to catch a level 20 Magikarp, meaning I could evolve it into a Gyarados right away to bring my total to 24 Pokemon. Ooh, there we go, Gyarados. That's pretty neat, look at that. Once I reached land, I hopped on the back of Ninetales and started wandering the plains and highlands in search of Pokemon and apricorns. I encountered a wild Machop, which I was able to catch, before catching a Rapidash later in the evening to bump my overall challenge total by 2. Oh cool, we caught it. After riding around the Moonlight Valley on the back of Ninetales, I encountered a wild Ditto, but unfortunately Thickums was too strong for it and I accidentally knocked it out with Seed Bomb. It does! Oh shoot! Right after, though, I was able to catch a Geodude and then a Graveler soon after to bring my total to 28 Pokemon. I continued searching the Moonlight Valley in hopes of finding an Abra to add to my collection, but was unsuccessful. I came across another structure in a plains biome and took the gold, which will always be needed throughout this challenge. As the sun rose on the morning of day 17, I continued searching for a black apricorn sapling. I checked a few trees, but sadly none of them dropped what I was looking for. Ugh. In a cave near one of the trees, however, I was able to find a Ghastly, which I happily caught to bring me to 29 Pokemon. Eventually, I found my way to another village where I was able to grab another link cable from a chest before grabbing another gold block from another ruin on the edge of town. Back in the village, I was able to catch a Growlithe to bring me to the 30 Pokemon mark, 1/5 of the way through the challenge. In the evening, I also caught myself a regular pattern Butterfree, as the one I caught earlier had a jungle pattern, and I wanted to have the regular pattern version for the Living Dex, though this won't count as a new addition to the total. I did, however, catch 2 Caterpie later on in the night, one to evolve into a Metapod, and the other to keep as a Caterpie, so I'll count this as one addition for the total for the time being. Exploring the village a little more, I was finally able to find a black apricorn sapling in one of the chests, before catching a Meowth to bring me to 32 Pokemon, followed by another Growlithe I grabbed to evolve into an Arcanine down the road. As I wandered into another village looking for useful loot and Pokemon, a big old boy spawned. Yo, there's the one that we really needed. Okay, this is going to be huge. We got a Snorlax. There he is. Look at this. Snorlax. Okay. Oh, what do I want to do here? I get Quick Ball. Hopefully a Quick Ball works. No, we cannot. Amnesia. Special Defense. Yikes. We'll go for a Drill Peck then. When he gets hit, his belly shake. Okay. He just used Belly Drum. He's about to sweep our whole team. There we go. We got a Snorlax. Let's go. Okay. Snorlax is caught. Thankfully, I was able to catch the Snorlax early on, as it's a semi-rare Pokemon, and seeing as this is a Kanto-only challenge, I want to avoid catching Pokemon like Munchlax that come from other regions. It'll definitely make certain Pokemon like Jinx, Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan, and others a little more difficult, but it's all part of the journey, right? I ran into a wild Persian shortly after catching Snorlax, but unfortunately I knocked it out and wasn't able to grab it. Just as the morning of day 18 rolled around, I was able to grab a wild Drowsy, as well as a Coughing, to bring my total to 35 Pokemon. Shortly after, while slowly making my way back to the lab, I encountered another Ditto, which I wasn't able to catch last time. I foolishly led with Dratini, allowing the Ditto to transform, meaning it now had the catch rate of a Dratini, and of course, I went through almost all of my Ultra Balls trying to catch it, only for it to finally catch in a regular Pokeball. Oh my god, really? Like, that's so frustrating. After finally returning home on the back of Thor, I slept through till the morning of day 19, where I went through my PC and organized all my recent catches in Pokedex order before evolving the Drowsy I had caught into a Hypno. Oh god, you look brutal. With my PC organized, I dropped off a bunch of my loot in my chests before heading over to my apricorn farm area to plant the black apricorn sapling I went out looking for. I then evolved my extra Caterpie I had caught into a Metapod to complete the line and bring my total number of Pokemon to 37. On the morning of day 20, I harvested some apricorns and crafted a handful of Ultra Balls as well as Dive Balls before catching a Ponyta out near the farm. Down near the river, I was able to catch both a Poliwhirl and a Poliwag to bring my total for the day to 40 Pokemon. After spending the remainder of the day chopping down trees for material to use for the lab, I slept through the night and got building again the next morning. While I was building, I was able to catch a Vulpix to bring my total to 41 Pokemon, completing another evolution line in the process. I realized I'd probably want some dark oak wood to break up the color palette of the lab a little bit, so I prepared for a little bit of a journey and set out in a boat during the nighttime. Shortly after setting out, I was able to catch a Shelder on the seafloor and a Lapras on the other side of the ocean. I took a moment to watch the sunrise on this battle. I don't know why this battle, but it just looks so beautiful. Like, just look at it! After arriving on shore, I battled some stronger Pokemon with Thor for some XP before catching a Slowpoke chilling on the beach. Yay, we got Slowpoke. I was also able to grab both a Kingler and a Krabby as well to bring my total to 46 Pokemon before adding a second Poliwhirl to my PC for evolving later on. Further inland, I looted a Nether Ruin before catching myself a Doduo, an Ekans, a Primeape, and a Spearow to bring me to 50 Pokemon, 1/3 of the way there. Shortly after, I was also able to add a Rattata, an Execute, and an Nidorino before finally catching a Weedle down the river a little ways to complete that line and bring my total to 54 Pokemon. As I made my way into a plains biome that same night, I caught myself a Raticate to complete the line and boost my total by 1. I also took a moment to come up with a name for my Blastoise, who had been part of my team for a while now, and settled on Michelangelo. There we go, Michelangelo. Hey Michelangelo, don't forget we're painting the kitchen after school. I also nicknamed my Dratini Melvina, of course, as it is a girl, and couldn't think of anything for Ninetales, so I held off naming her for now. At the edge of the ocean, I was able to catch a Tentacool to bring my total to 56 Pokemon, as I was greeted by a perfect sunrise to start day 23. Ow! No! No! No, we're not doing this. Exploring around a bit more, I found my first fossil structure of the world, a prehistoric oak tree, which has a guaranteed chance of dropping one of 3 fossils I'll need to complete the challenge, but I'll get around to that later on in the video, so I left a waypoint for now in case I needed to come back and find it later on. Just down the way a little bit, I spotted a Thunderstone ore and a cliff face, and was able to grab not 1, but 2 Thunderstones, which are needed to evolve Pikachu into Raichu, and Eevee into Jolteon, so I'm glad I was able to grab both of them in one go. Not too much further down, I was finally able to find a dark oak forest, which I almost forgot was the reason I was out exploring. After grabbing a bit of wood and enough saplings to plant more back home, I continued on through the forest looking for any new Pokemon. Eventually, I found my way to a shipwreck where I picked up some iron, gold, and emeralds, and also found myself a buried treasure map, which I immediately went to dig up. Unfortunately, I didn't find anything too important and continued on with my journey. Down a river, I was able to pick up a waystone before finding a village just around the corner where I was able to catch a Voltorb to bring my total to 57 Pokemon at the end of day 23. Yay. In the morning, I was able to grab 2 male Nidorans, 1 to keep and 1 to evolve later on, so I'll only be counting 1 to the total for now. I wandered around the village a little longer and picked up a brewing stand before deciding to put down my PC and organize my boxes with the Pokemon I had caught so far on my journey. I'm gonna do some sorting here. Rattata, Raticate, Primeape can go down by Mankey. Execute is box 4 above Lickitung when Voltorb goes there. Once my boxes were organized, I carried on with my adventure and was able to catch a second Voltorb to evolve into Electrode later on in the challenge. Soon after, I was able to catch a female Nidoran to bring my total for day 24 to 59 Pokemon. Later that same night, I was able to grab my second Graveler and 2 more female Nidoran, all 3 of which I plan to use for knocking off evolutions for my total down the road. On day 25, I found myself in a larger village located by the ocean. Here, I was able to catch a Staryu to bring my total to 60 Pokemon. I caught a second one right after to evolve into Starmie later, as well as a second Horsey. Eventually, I ended up making my way back home, where I slept through the rest of the night. The morning of day 26, I got started evolving some of the Pokemon I had caught while I was out. Of the Pokemon I was able to evolve, the only ones that counted towards my final total were Nidorina, Electrode, and finally Golem, which I evolved using one of the link cables I picked up to bring my total to 63 Pokemon. Cool, we got Golem. Can I ride you? No, I can't ride you. Oh, I can ride you. Wait a minute. How do you... Yes. My Electrode. That's kind of funny. Afterwards, I was able to catch a Seaking and a Goldeen in the river in front of my lab to boost my total again by 2. Boom. At the end of the day, I placed a Waystone down by the river for fast traveling before sleeping till the morning of day 27, where I got back into building up my lab. I mean, what if I did this? Like a checkerboard style. I think that looks a lot better. Yeah, it looks way better. Oh, okay. Look at that. We're learning to build. I built for almost 3 straight days entirely. I wanted the lab to somewhat resemble those from the anime, so I tried to make it stick out as much as possible over the tops of the trees. I continued building into the evening of day 30 when a certain Pokemon spawned in the river. Oh boy. Oh boy. You come here right now. You come here right now. Let's go. Get in there. That's right. That's right. That's right. You're gonna stay there forever. You're gonna stay there forever. If you need context, I recommend you watch my other Catch 'em All video when you finish this one. It's a fun one. I spent the next 10 or so in-game days building as much of my lab as I could, battling stronger Pokemon for XP when they spawned. I added a second floor area, as well as a basement for storage, and made a Pokeball-shaped skylight for the front of the lab. I didn't make a single addition to my Living Dex until day 41 when I was able to catch a wild Electabuzz to bring my total to 66 Pokemon. There we go, we got an Electabuzz. After catching the Electabuzz, I decided it was finally time to build a Nether portal and start exploring the Nether. There were a handful of Pokemon I still needed to catch that spawn inside the Nether, like Haunter, Gengar, and Magmar. The main thing I needed was a gas tier, as it's needed to craft a healing table, but they only drop from the Gengar line when defeated in the Nether, so that was next on my to-do list. After building a portal on the night of day 41, I slept before heading inside the Nether the next morning. Immediately, I was able to catch a Ghastly for evolving later on, before wandering a bit further and finding a Magmar. Once I had caught the Magmar, I was also able to catch an Arbok to boost my total to 68 Pokemon. Eventually, I found my way over to a Crimson Forest where I caught another Ghastly to complete the evolution line, as well as defeat a Magby for some Blaze Powder. With 3 Ghastlys now sitting in my PC, I decided to start battling any I ran into in hopes of one dropping a Gas tier. The first one I encountered unfortunately only dropped a Spell Tag, and the second didn't drop anything. Neither did the Haunter I took out shortly after. I ended up taking out 5 more Ghastly with no Gas tier before checking its drop rate in the Pokedex, only to find out it was a measly 2.5% chance. Ouch. Eventually, I found another Haunter, and upon defeating it, I was finally able to collect the Gas tier I had been looking for. Lucky enough, I was able to grab a second tier just a minute later. Another one. Perfect. I spent the next chunk of time mining quartz for XP, as I'll need a level 30 enchanted fishing rod for catching all of the patterned Magikarps later on. After I had recklessly looted a bastion structure the best I could with no armor, I was able to catch a Parasect and a little while after a Paras to boost my total to 70 Pokemon. On my way out of the Nether, I remembered that I needed some Firestones for a couple evolutions, and since they commonly spawn in the Nether, I was able to grab a bunch before heading back home. After returning home on day 44 and dropping off all of my loot, I was able to use one of the gas tiers I had collected to craft my first healing machine of the world. There we go! Healing machine. Boom! We'll put you right there, and we'll let it charge. Oh, thank God. Finally. As I was sorting my PC and grabbing a few Pokemon to evolve for my Living Dex, a Squirtle spawned in the river just outside my lab. Oh, no way, we got a Squirtle! Let's go! Oh, man, I almost missed that. Hey! Time out, time out, time out. Where are you? Yeah, we got Squirtle! Look at him. Look at him swim around. Yay, Squirtle! After successfully catching the Squirtle and placing it in my PC, I evolved a few Pokemon that I'd caught in the Nether. I evolved my Growlithe into Arcanine using one of the Firestones I had collected, both additional Gastlys into Haunter, and one into a Gengar using a link cable to bring my total to 74 Pokemon, putting me just under the halfway mark of the challenge. The next morning, I was finally able to evolve Melvina, my Dratini, all the way into a Dragonite. Yay! Dragonite. Later that same day, another Squirtle spawned in the river less than a day after the last one, which I caught and evolved to complete the line within my PC. With a full starter line completed within the last day, I decided I was going to attempt to make a dent in one of the other two lines next. To do that, I needed to find either a jungle biome for Bulbasaur or a volcanic biome for Charmander. I prepared to set out on another journey by crafting more Pokeballs and an extra PC and a healing table to bring with me. Expecting this to take a while, I'd probably want to have both with me at all times so I wouldn't have to travel back and forth between the lab and wherever I ended up. As I was finishing my preparations, a shiny Pokemon spawned behind the lab. Shiny Ladaba, wait a minute, where are you? Yay! Unfortunately, this would be the first of many shiny Pokemon I would find that isn't from the original 151 Pokemon, so seeing as I didn't need it, sorry. Bye-bye. We don't need you. Once I was finally ready, I set out in search of a jungle, seeing as quite a few Pokemon spawn there that I still needed to catch outside of Bulbasaur. On my way to the jungle, I left markers at various biomes I thought would be beneficial to return to later on, such as a cherry biome and a dripstone cave. Ooh. On the night of day 46, I eventually found my way to the jungle I was looking for, where I immediately was able to catch a Tangela to bring my total to 75 Pokemon. I was also able to catch 2 Bellsprout, a Pinsir, and an Oddish before finding a volcanic peaks biome where I caught a Sandshrew to bring my total to 79 Pokemon on the morning of day 47. While riding around on Ninetales, I realized I still hadn't given her a nickname and decided to go with the most generic one and went with Kitsune. After traveling back and forth across the top of the peaks, I was able to catch a couple of Cubone and a Gloom to bring me to 81 Pokemon. Shortly after, I encountered another shiny Pokemon that I sadly had no use for in this challenge. Oh, add to the list. List of shinies that we will not catch, but we will sacrifice them for good luck. Yep. On day 48, it started to rain, which meant Charmander would no longer be able to spawn here for the time being, so I went back to the jungle in search of more Pokemon. Right away, I was able to catch a Pokemon I really wanted for my team in Scyther to bring me to 82 Pokemon. Scyther is going to be incredibly useful in this challenge as it gets access to False Swipe, a move that guarantees the opponent will always be left with at least 1 HP, meaning I can't accidentally knock it out while trying to weaken it. On the morning of day 49, I found my first ultra-rare jungle Pokemon, but sadly it wasn't the Bulbasaur I was looking for. Still, it was nice to see ultra-rare Pokemon spawning, since I hadn't really spent more than 1 in-game day searching, so I expect this won't take too long. Later that same day, I came across another shiny Pokemon. This time it was one I could catch. Yay! Shiny Weedle. Look at that. Shiny Worm. Later that night, I found yet another Jangmo-o, which was met with Melvina's wrath. Shortly after, I found my way over to a tropical jungle island where I was able to catch a Vileplume after quite a few Pokeballs to bring my total to 83 Pokemon on the morning of day 50. Holy, that was difficult. What's great about the tropical jungle biome is that both the Bulbasaur and Charmander lines can spawn here, so I can hunt for both simultaneously without having to travel back and forth between different biomes. Afterwards, I decided to organize my PC boxes quickly and took the time to evolve an extra Machop I had caught into Machoke to boost my total by 1. Later in the day, I added the Scyther I had caught a couple days ago to my party and named him Basil. I spent the rest of the afternoon battling wild Pokemon while waiting for things I needed to spawn before running into a wild Rhyhorn. On the night of day 51, a Tyranitar spawned on the island I was on, which is an ultra rare spawn, but again, one I don't need to complete this challenge unfortunately. Still, it's a cool Pokemon to see spawn. Eventually on day 52, I traveled a little further to another chain of tropical islands where my poor starter spawn luck continued as I encountered a Snivy almost immediately. Sorry Snivy. You're not for a very long time. Right after, though, I was able to catch a wild Seadra, followed by a wild Rhydon to bring my total to 87 Pokemon. What is that? Oh, a Shedinja. Aw, man, we got a shiny Sheen? Ugh. Sorry, Sheen. The next day, I was able to catch a Tentacruel in the ocean to boost my total once again by 1. Later that same day, I encountered my second legendary Pokemon of the challenge. Oh my god. There's another Zapdos. Let's see if we can catch one in another Quick Ball. Let's see how ridiculous this was. Yep, we just got incredibly lucky. Oh boy. Let's go! Oh, man. Yeah, we caught a Zapdos. After catching my second Zapdos of the challenge, I spent some time traveling around the area looking for new jungle areas to hunt Pokemon. I flew around on Thor and ended up finding an Amethyst jungle, which doubles as a jungle and a magical biome. Later that day, I was able to catch both a Starmie and a Hitmonlee, but I had paused my recording for a short break and forgot to start it again when I got back. Because of this, I'm going to do my best to catch another one of each later on in the challenge, but either way that brings us to 90 Pokemon through 55 days. The next day I traveled back home to drop some stuff off and craft more Pokeballs. I also used one of the link cables I'd collected to evolve Machoke into Machamp to bring my total to 91 Pokemon on day 57. Hey, there we go, we got Machamp, look at that. After traveling back to the tropical jungle biome, I was luckily able to catch another Hitmonlee, this time on recording, so it was nice to at least get that one out of the way early. I also found a wild Sobble, which I of course took out, but I was getting back to getting ultra rare Pokemon spawns at least. On day 58, I encountered another starter Pokemon, this time a Monferno, as I was traveling back and forth between the island regions. Oh, that's so frustrating. I felt at this point maybe there was just too many starter Pokemon in this one spawn pool, and that it would take forever for me to get one of the two Pokemon I was looking for in Bulbasaur and Charmander. Luckily, later that night, I was finally able to find one of the Pokemon I had been searching for since day 46. Let's go! Let's go! Oh my god, Charmeleon. Okay, we got one. Where is it? Where are you? No, where are you? There you are. We got Charmeleon. Alright. Go to sleep, little guy. Yeah, there we go. Boom, there we go. That's, oh, thank God. We got one. Okay, with Charmeleon added to my Living Dex total, I only needed to find 2 more Pokemon from the Charizard line. I chose to hold off on evolving the Charmeleon into a Charizard on the extremely rare chance I encountered a wild Charizard later on in the challenge. The next night, I was able to catch my first Abra of the challenge, as well as a wild Victory Bell. Later that same night, I was able to catch a second Abra, which I immediately evolved into Kadabra to bring my total to 95 Pokemon. On the morning of day 60, I continued my search for a Bulbasaur. I spent the day battling any strong wild Pokemon for XP, training up my team when I could, but again had no luck finding the little guy. That night, I was however able to catch a Golduck to boost my total by 1. The following couple of days were slow. I didn't encounter anything I needed for my Living Dex and saw no ultra rare spawns. It wasn't until day 62 I found something else I needed in Psyduck to bring me to 97 Pokemon. A few days passed again without any new additions to my total, and again no starter Pokemon. I found the best way to get rare spawns throughout this challenge was to travel back and forth just outside the range of where Pokemon had been spawning, and waiting for the new area to fill up before traveling somewhere else and repeating. I did this non-stop until I was able to find something I needed, this time a Hitmonchan, to bring my total to 98 Pokemon on day 64. On day 65, I decided I was going to start looking for a Pokerod upgrade template, as I still hadn't found one, and I'll need it to be able to start fishing up pattern Magikarp whenever I decided to do so. I noticed a shipwreck just off the jungle I had been searching, which I ended up checking, but was unable to find anything. Luckily, not too long after, I found another shipwreck structure which had the template I was looking for. That same night, I was able to find a second template, which is great in case I lose my Pokerod or it breaks at any point while fishing. Shortly after, I was able to catch a wild Slowbro to bring me within 1 Pokemon from 100, before finding a Kangaskhan to bring me to the century mark within this challenge. On day 66, I was back in the jungle and encountered yet another starter Pokemon I did not need for this challenge in Torracat. Afterwards, I decided to head back home again to empty my inventory and organize my Living Dex once again, as I had added a couple entries since the last time I checked in on it. While I was back, I figured now would be a good time to start getting ready to catch some Magikarp, and to do that, I would need an enchantment area, meaning I needed to gather a bunch of books, so I made my way over to some villages I had been to gather them from the bookshelves there. While I was out doing that, I was able to catch a Pikachu I could use to evolve into Raichu later on, as well as a wild Jolteon to bring me to 101 Pokemon. Boom, look at that. I also encountered a Persian and a Drowsy that same night, both of which I was able to catch to boost my total by 2. I continued traveling to different villages and grabbing as many books as I could, as I didn't really want to have to go looking for more at any point later on in this challenge. I was also able to grab some waste stones, which are always nice to have. As I was traveling back through a jungle, I noticed a small volcanic peaks biome sticking out from within the trees, and decided to pass through it quickly on the off chance I was able to find a Charmander. Charmander, yes! Let's go! I hung out there for 2 seconds just to see if one would spawn. Oh, baby. Oh my god. Oh, there we go. With Charmander successfully added to my Living Dex total, I made my way back to the lab and continued with assembling an enchantment area on the 2nd floor. After finally getting my enchantment area set up, I was able to start working on getting a good fishing rod. My first enchantment attempt got me an Unbreaking 3, Lure 2, and Luck of the Sea 2 rod, which is a great start, but not quite as strong as I'd like. My ideal Pokerod for this challenge has Unbreaking 3, Lure 3, and Luck of the Sea 3, so I need to try enchanting again. I didn't have enough string to craft another rod right away, so I went out to defeat some Caterpie for their string to be able to craft another one. Luckily, I was able to duplicate my first attempt, which I'll be able to combine using an anvil to create the Pokerod I wanted. Unfortunately, I had used a bunch of my levels up while enchanting and wasn't able to combine the 2 rods, so I traveled back to the Nether for the first time in a while to mine quartz for XP. With 3 more levels now that I needed, I used them to enchant my diamond pick with efficiency and unbreaking, which was a much needed upgrade almost 70 days into this challenge. Finally, I was able to combine my 2 fishing rods with the upgrade template I had found a few days back and create my first Pokerod of the world. One word of advice I would give when doing this: make sure you get the enchantments you want before using the Pokerod template, as the Pokerods cannot be combined with one another in the anvil. You can enchant them in a table or use enchanted books, but if you want to use the method I use, just be aware of that before you start. Before getting started fishing, I went back to the Nether one more time for levels, as I needed them to be able to travel using my waystones. I also harvested my apricorn trees and crafted more Pokeballs, including a bunch of dye balls which will be useful for catching Magikarp, as they provide a 3.5 times catch rate when the Pokemon is submerged in water. With my Pokerod now in hand and my Pokeballs restocked, I'm on my way back to the jungle to start fishing for Magikarp there, as I could do that while waiting for a Bulbasaur to spawn. With my first cast, I started in on a mission that I knew would take time and patience, as it's very unlikely you reel in any type of rare Pokemon, let alone a 12.5% Magikarp. A few casts later, I was able to grab my first pattern Magikarp. Oh, there's a Magikarp. So this is exactly what I'm talking about right here. That's one of the variants, and hopefully I can catch this. Cool, so we got one. I'm not exactly sure which one this is. It might look like a regular Magikarp, but if I go here, you can already kind of see the difference in the variation. This one's the original Magikarp. This one is a variation. I believe it's the tiger stripe one? I don't know. I don't really know how it works, to be honest. Later that evening, I was able to fish up another Pokemon I hadn't caught yet in Grimer to bring my total to 105 Pokemon on day 70. As I explained briefly in the rules earlier on in this video, there are 31 unique pattern Magikarp and Gyarados variations on top of the original ones we all know and love. Lure grants a 5% chance of being able to fish up pattern Magikarp regardless of what level enchantment you have. Additionally, Luck of the Sea boosts the rate of encountering these Magikarp by 2.5% with each level of enchantment, allowing for a maximum rate of 12.5% to fish up pattern Magikarp with each cast. Each pattern variant can be found in any body of fishable water, though they all have a unique list of biomes that they can be more commonly found in. Catching every pattern will be an on and off process throughout the rest of this challenge, so I'll do my best to highlight when I catch a new variant. While I was fishing for Magikarp variants, I was able to fish up a few other Pokemon I still needed. First, I fished up a Vaporeon, which leaves me with just one more evolution to get in Flareon, as well as a Muck to bring my total to 107 Pokemon on day 71. I spent the next couple of days traveling through different jungle biomes, fishing for Magikarp and still waiting for my Bulbasaur to spawn. I caught a bunch of different pattern Magikarp over those days before I encountered my second legendary Pokemon of the challenge. There's a Moltres! Oh my god, is that a Moltres? Wait a minute, time out, time out, time out, time out, time out. Oh no. Oh no. Oh my god. What do I do? Oh god. Look at this. Moltres versus Zapdos. What the heck? Okay, I'm gonna go for a quick ball because that worked the one time. Nope, didn't work. Oh boy. Okay. Okay, we're gonna go for an Ultra Ball. Alright, Michelangelo, come on. Oh, let's go! Let's go! Oh, you beautiful turtle. Catching both Moltres and Zapdos this early on in this challenge is a major relief. Having been unable to find a single Bulbasaur through 70 plus days, this was a nice win and a big Pokemon cross off my list. With the legendary bird added to my PC, it was time to get back to fishing. I spent another 4 to 5 days strictly fishing for Magikarp. I fished up nearly 25 to 30 patterned carp, many of which were duplicates I had already found, but seeing as I hadn't caught anything before now in this challenge, I was catching anything I fished up. Once I'd caught over an entire PC box worth, I took the time to go through them and figure out which ones I had and which ones I still needed. Seeing as there are 31 different variants, as well as 31 Gyarados variants, I started naming and sorting them into the PC to help myself with keeping track going forward. While I was organizing my collection of carps, I found yet another wild Zapdos which spawned during a thunderstorm. Oh my god, there's a Zapdos. There's a Zapdos. I'm not catching this thing. Yeah. I just don't think it's meant to be. Let's go Calico Orange White. You can do it. You gotta be kidding me. The next morning, I took the time to evolve one of my Magikarps that I had caught 2 of to see what it looked like as a Gyarados. I had spent a significant amount of days consecutively only fishing, and I had forgotten what other Pokemon I still needed to look for to complete the rest of my Living Dex, so I took the time to go through the rest of my PC and make a checklist of what remained before getting back to fishing for a little bit. After catching a few more Magikarp, I was able to catch a Diglett, a Dugtrio, a Dodrio, an Executor, and a Fearow on day 79 to bring my total to 113 Pokemon. Running low on Pokeballs, I decided to stop by the lab once again and restock there before heading back out to the volcanic peaks to try again for the last Charmander I needed. Here on day 80, I was able to add both a Marowak and a Sandslash to boost my total to 115. Unfortunately, it started raining on day 81, so I had to put the Charmander dream on hold for the time being. Having found 2 already and no Bulbasaur, I decided to try and change that by heading back to the jungle and clearing away a large bamboo forest in hopes of raising its chances of spawning. Did this help? No, not really, but it kept me busy while it was raining, and I ended up getting rewarded with a shiny Weedle. I spent the next few days continuing on clearing a large area within the jungle and found no new Pokemon. Until day 84, when I encountered the final legendary bird I required. Oh! 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 Oh my god, wait! No, 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 no. What do I do? What do I do? Why are you here? I didn't know you could spawn here. What the heck? Alright, time out. Why is it such a high level? Oh god, this thing's about to body me. Come on. Let's go! Oh my god. We got all the birds. We got all the birds. Done. All the birds are done. We don't have to worry about that anymore. And unbelievably, we've caught every single of the birds before we found a Bulbasaur. I'm gonna lose my mind, but it's done. With Articuno caught, I had successfully caught all of the legendary birds before encountering a single wild Bulbasaur, who, by the way, has a much higher spawn rate than all of them. I spent more time in the jungle before traveling back to the volcanic peaks for a bit and just kept rotating between the two for a little while. Eventually, I stumbled upon a lush cave, which I took the time to explore as the sun rose on day 88. Down here, I was able to grab some diamonds, some amethyst shards, as well as catch an onyx to bring my total to 117 Pokemon. After leaving the cave, I continued my search for a Bulbasaur and my last Charmander. I spent time traveling between the bamboo jungle I had cleared, the tropical jungle, the amethyst jungle, and the volcanic peaks. A few days had passed once again with no luck, until day 91 when I finally found my final Charmander. Once I had caught it, I was able to evolve one of them into a Charmeleon, and then finally a Charizard to complete the evolution line and bring my Living Dex total to 118 Pokemon. With both the Charmander and Squirtle lines completed, I only needed a Bulbasaur and an Ivysaur to be finished with the starters. I spent a handful of days between different types of jungles, searching with no success. I was able to add another Abra to my collection on day 92 for evolving later on, and wasn't able to add to my total until the night of day 95 when I caught a Clefairy to bring my total to 119. I realized around now that there was another Pokemon I hadn't caught yet that I had thought spawned in the jungle, but as it turns out doesn't, in Venonat. Venonat only spawns in swamps or spooky biomes, such as dark forests at night, so I decided to take a vacation from the jungle and go looking for one. Of course, I forgot to unpause my recording before heading out and only noticed once this happened. Bruh! Why wasn't I recording? What? Where even? Bro. Unable to teleport because I had lost my levels, I had to fly almost 10 minutes to collect my belongings and continue my search for Venonat. Eventually, on the night of day 97, I was able to find my first Venonat, as well as a Golbat, to bring my total to 121 Pokemon. Boom. I was eventually able to grab a second Venonat for evolving into Venomoth later, before once again returning to the jungle. Here, I finally encountered a grass starter Pokemon. Dude, what the heck? Why? Why? Please go away. Please go away. Please go away. Please go away, Trico. I'm sorry. Please. Because I know as soon as it comes time for me to do the Hoenn Dex, if we get there, it's not going to show up. I'm so... Oh my god. A few short days later, I was able to encounter another starter Pokemon, this time a Wartortle. I traveled back and forth non-stop, reloading the spawns once they filled up, and trying my luck in all sorts of jungle biomes with no success. Eventually, the sun rose on my 100th day in the challenge. With over 120 Pokemon caught for my Living Dex, I was happy with the progress I had made to this point. With less than 30 Pokemon left for me to catch, I felt maybe the journey was nearing its end. That wouldn't be the case, however, as I hadn't even started the Snow Arc, or the real Magikarp Arc, but we'll get there. On day 100, I was able to encounter a Poliwrath while circling the tropical islands to bring me to 122 Pokemon. Just like in my previous Cobblemon Catch-em-all, the jungle was beating me into submission. With so many different ultra-rare Pokemon for the spawn pool to pull from, the odds just weren't in my favor. A few days passed once again with no new additions until finally, on the night of day 103, there was a glimmer of hope. Oh! Oh! Oh my god, finally. Finally. Look at you. You're perfect. I'm pretty sure this thing gets takedown. So we need to be very careful here. Oh my god. If we take this thing out, or if this thing takes itself out, I'm gonna... Oh, thank god. Oh. Ugh. What the heck? I just need one more. As happy as I was to find an Ivysaur, it wasn't the most ideal situation, as it now meant I had to find a Bulbasaur to avoid phasing. Still, I was thrilled to be that much closer. On the morning of day 104, I returned to the lab once again. Here, I was able to catch a Tauros near my Apricorn farm to bring my total to 124 Pokemon. While I was back, I decided to continue the construction on my lab and completed the main floor area and worked on the second floor a bit as well. Still needing to finish the roof and outer walls, I decided to come back and finish it later on. In the meantime, there were a handful of Pokemon that spawned in similar biomes or conditions to one another that I hadn't acquired from my Living Dex to this point in the challenge. The main group of Pokemon I'm referring to in this situation are those that spawn near villages. To be more specific, Pokemon such as Weezing, Mr. Mime, Jinx, and Chansey can all be found in the overworld, but only when a village is present. After making my way over to the nearest village, I was able to catch an extra Coughing on the night of day 105 so that I could evolve it into a Weezing. The second group of Pokemon that I still need to make some progress on were the Moonstone evolutions, such as the Jigglypuff line, the Clefairy line, and both Nidoran lines. Though I had caught enough Nidorans to complete each line, I had yet to find any Moonstones to evolve them into Nidoking and Nidoqueen. Seeing as there are 4 required Moonstone evolutions I still needed, I was going to have to find 4 Moonstones to complete my Living Dex. Every evolution stone can be found randomly in Gimmighoul chests as loot throughout your world, but they can also be mined in ore form in different biomes. For instance, Moonstones can generate as common ore in Dripstone caves or as rare ore in Taiga biomes, so I'll be searching in both of those areas. After finding my way to a Dripstone cave on day 106, I stumbled across yet another important feature I have yet to make any progress on in this challenge, and that is a fossil structure. Fossils can be found using a brush on suspicious gravel or sand in designated fossil dig sites. Each unique fossil has a specific fossil structure that can generate throughout the world that it can always be found in. For example, a helix fossil will always generate in sandy dens, and dome fossils will always spawn in hydrothermal vents. Fossils can also have a chance of spawning in other fossil structures, though it's not a guarantee. If you're looking for a specific fossil, I found it's best to search for the structure they belong to instead of rolling the dice on chance. Fossil Pokemon also spawn as ultra rare Pokemon in lush caves, but at a sub 0.1% chance of appearing, I'll be sticking to my brush. Luckily, after brushing a bunch of suspicious gravel, I was able to excavate an old amber, the fossil required to revive an Aerodactyl. Since it doesn't evolve, I won't need to find a second one, so I can cross it off the list. Once I was finished looking for fossils, I continued on with my search for Moonstones. I flew all over searching along cliff faces, small caves, and crevices for Moonstone ore, but couldn't find any. On the night of day 106, I encountered another shiny Pokemon I was able to catch. Once again, I had no luck finding any Moonstone ore the following day. However, I did come across yet another one of the legendary birds, this time an Articuno again. Eventually, after another day of not finding any Moonstones, I decided to spend some time wandering between 2 villages that were situated near each other in hopes of finding one of the Pokemon that I still needed that spawn here. On day 110, I caught myself a regular Lickitung, as the only one I had caught so far was the shiny way back on day 5. On day 111, I still had no luck finding any of Chansey, Mr. Mime, or Weezing. However, I did spot both a Raboot and a Torchic on my map. If only I could get this started luck in the jungle. After wandering around for a while, I noticed the entrance to a dripstone cave peeking out from the side of a hill and flew in to search for Moonstone ore. As I made my way through, I ended up running into what I thought was an Amethyst Geode, but turned out to be a Terraden, which I believe is part of the legendary Pokemon add-on I'm using, but I know nothing I need spawns here, so I just left a marker and carried on exploring. I ended up covering a large area while I was down here, and was able to mine quite a few pockets of diamonds before coming across my first Moonstone ore. Shortly after, I was able to locate a second Moonstone ore before coming across a wild Magnemite, which I hadn't found yet, and I was able to catch it to bring my total to 125 Pokemon. Only 26 left. Once I had caught the Magnemite, I continued searching for Moonstones and was able to grab the third, fourth, and final Moonstone I needed before returning to the surface and taking a Waystone back to the lab. After emptying my inventory, I spent a bit of time testing out the speed of some of the newer ride Pokemon I had caught, including Arcanine and Cedric my Charizard. Unfortunately, they weren't any faster than what I was already using, but I decided to keep Cedric around for a while in hopes that having all 3 evolved starters in my party would help me lure Bulbasaur out of hiding. Back in the jungle on day 114, I continued my search for the final starter Pokemon I needed. I searched day and night for the elusive little guy, training up my Charizard to pass the time. Finally, on day 117, after what felt like weeks spent looking for starters here, I was able to find the last one I needed. Let's go! Let's go! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Look at it. Let's go! Oh! Oh! Get out of here! Let's go. Oh my god. We did it. We did it. We're done in the jungle. We're done in the jungle. We're done in the jungle. Again, we're done in the jungle for the second time. With Bulbasaur now added to my collection and all of the Kanto starting lines complete, I could finally move on from the jungle and on to the next biome I'd have to spend some time in. As I mentioned, there are a handful of Pokemon that spawn in villages I still needed, including Chansey, Mr. Mime, and Jynx, but Jynx only spawns in villages that are in snowy biomes. Pokemon like Seal and Dugong, which I don't have, can also be found in these regions, so that was the next stop in my journey. I spent the next handful of days exploring the world and searching for a snowy biome as I had yet to come across one. While I was adventuring, I found a bunch of cool areas, including this floral biome where Jigglypuff can spawn, which was situated right above another dripstone cave. Seeing as Clefairy can also spawn here at night, knowing this would be a useful area, I left a waystone before heading off again. I traveled the vast oceans on Michelangelo's back for a couple more days in search of a snow biome. Eventually I was able to catch a second Shelter to evolve into Cloyster later on, before encountering a shiny Frillish. Unfortunately, I can't catch this Pokemon, so... bye Frillish! After a handful of days out looking, I finally came across a frozen ocean biome on the night of day 119. Here, I was able to catch a Seal almost immediately to bring my total for the Living Dex to 127 Pokemon. I wandered the snowy plains and badlands through the night in search of a village, and eventually was able to locate one where I slept through the remainder of the night. I didn't love how this village was situated in a badlands region, so I set out in search of one in a more favorable biome. That same day I was able to catch a second Seal for evolving into Dugong at some point down the road. Later that night, I came across another snowy village in a plains biome that I liked the look of, so I decided to search for the Pokemon I needed here. Once the night had passed, I was able to encounter the Weezing I needed, but sadly, it didn't feel like joining me. Yep, there it is. It's so annoying. I waited in the village for something I needed to spawn for a while. On the evening of day 121, I encountered yet another shiny Pokemon I couldn't catch, this time a Fidough. Thankfully, the next day I was able to make up for the lost Weezing from the day before and brought my total to 128 Pokemon. It was now day 123, and at this point the challenge was starting to wear on me a bit. I had spent so much time waiting for a small handful of Pokemon to spawn and still had so much more left to do. I only had 23 Pokemon remaining for the Living Dex total, but still had over half of the total pattern Magikarps remaining I needed to catch. Since some of the rare Magikarp patterns have a higher chance of spawning in snowy biomes, I decided to multitask and fish while waiting for the other Pokemon I needed to spawn. Immediately, I was able to catch the second Orange Orca Carp I needed to cross the pattern off the list, as well as my first Gray Bubbles pattern. The next day, I was able to catch a Saucy Blue Magikarp, one of the rare ones that has a better chance of spawning in snowy or tundra biomes. That same night, I was able to fish up a Cloyster, which I was able to catch to bring my total to 129 Pokemon. Where is it? Oh, we caught it. Yeah. Once I had put it in its spot in the PC, I realized just how close I was to completing my goal. I continued on doing what I was doing for the time being, catching new carps I hadn't found and ones that I didn't have duplicates of. On the night of day 129, I encountered yet another Articuno, an ultra rare spawn, before seeing just one of Mr. Mime, Jynx, or Chansey, who are all just rare spawns. A few more days passed and I made no progress on my Living Dex total. Finally, on day 127, I was able to cross one of the village spawns off my list. Yo, oh my god. Look at that. That is finally, oh my god. Oh, alright. Okay. With Chansey caught, I only had 21 Pokemon remaining in my Living Dex, a lot of which, as can be seen in my PC here, are just Pokemon that need to be evolved. There, we're done box 4. We're done box 1. This is fantastic. Still just waiting for that Jynx. I don't want to have to evolve Smoochum, but if I do, it is what it is. I'm going to spend maybe 2 more days here looking for a Jynx, because it has, I believe, a 1.5 times chance a better chance of spawning at night. So if we can find it then, it'd be great. If we can't, we'll move on, maybe come back later, go do some more fishing in other biomes, try to knock off some more of the Magikarp, and hopefully some fossils, and then we can probably be done relatively soon. So we'll see how that goes, and yeah, hopefully we can find it quick. I continued on my search for Jinx as I said I would. I ended up finding a wild Crobat that spawned in a cave, which I thought was pretty neat. It looked like a static spawn boss battle from the games. I waited another couple days for Jinx until day 129 during a snowfall. I was able to finally find and catch it. There it is. Look at. We got it. We're done here now too. We're done here now too. There we go. Jinx is caught. Let's go. Oh my god. With all of the Pokemon I needed in the snowy biomes caught, I could finally leave and start to make my way back to the lab. Before heading home though, I made a quick stop at one of the dripstone caves I had found to search for a Clefairy to evolve during the nighttime. I spent the entire night searching for a Clefairy with no luck. Thankfully, just as the night had switched to day, I was able to locate one and catch it before finally leaving and returning to the lab on day 130. Beep-ee! Yay! Yeah! We got the Clefairy. Now we only need Jigglypuff and that box is done too. After returning home and getting organized, I decided to complete a bunch of the outstanding evolutions I had put off, mostly ones that required evolution stones I'd only recently acquired. During this process, I was able to add Nidoking and Nidoqueen, Clefable, Raichu, Flareon, Alakazam, and finally Venomoth to bring my total all the way up to 138 Pokemon. Only 13 left until I was done. The next Pokemon I wanted to go for that I figured would be another problem is Porygon. Porygon only spawns as a rare spawn in an area where a PC is present. Since I've been dropping a PC in each of the POIs I've been hunting Pokemon in and no Porygon has spawned, I decided to craft a bunch more and place them scattered around the outside of my lab in hopes that one would spawn soon. Once I was finished with that, I also took a look through my PC to check my progress and noticed I needed another Magnemite, so I decided to craft a couple of repeaters and place them around my lab as well, since Magnemite can only spawn near redstone. I wasn't sure if that meant redstone dust or redstone components, but if one doesn't spawn soon, I'll swap them out for something else. In the meantime, instead of waiting around, I decided to start fishing for Magikarp again in the river outside my lab. Over the next handful of days, I was able to make a decent dent in my pattern Magikarp total. I fished up a variety of different carps I needed, such as the Calico patterns, pink and purple, and my third saucy blue. I also managed to reel in a Squirtle at one point too, but I'd already seen a bunch so far, so I just let the guy go. Eventually, after 4 straight days of fishing, I ran out of dye balls and had to go harvest my apricorns to craft more. I also decided to place some redstone dust around my lab, as I still hadn't seen a Magnemite. Once I had done that, I was back to fishing for a little bit before deciding to try and knock off my last village spawn Pokemon in Mr. Mime. I wandered over to the village just across the river, and after about 5 minutes, I was able to cross it off the list on the night of day 137. While fishing and thinking about my next course of action, I was finally able to get a Magnemite to spawn. Oh, we got a Magnemite! Wait. There we go. I still needed to level it up and evolve it for it to count towards the total, but catching it meant the only special spawn remaining really was Porygon. Because of that, I decided to do a bit more fishing and see if I could get one to spawn. I was able to catch my first of what ended up being many duplicates of the Pink Dapples pattern, a Skelly, and Black Mask pattern before my Pokérod eventually got to the point where it was in need of replacing. Unfortunately, I didn't have quite enough levels to craft a new one, so I continued fishing for the time being. Ugh. On the morning of day 140, I checked my Magikarp collection to see what I was missing and dropped off my 12th duplicate that I had caught before getting back to the river. Eventually, on day 141, I had gathered enough levels to enchant and craft myself a new Pokérod, the Super Rod. Before getting back into fishing, I was also able to catch another Ninetales to place in the box so I could keep Kitsune on my team without ruining the Living Dex. After another short stretch of fishing where I reeled in only duplicates, I decided to set out for a floral biome in hope of catching a Jigglypuff, as I still needed a Wigglytuff for my Living Dex. I took the Waystone to an area that I had already been to and searched until the night for one. Eventually, I was able to finally find and catch a Jigglypuff and return to the lab where I slept until the morning of day 143. Here, I was able to use a Moonstone on Jigglypuff to evolve it into a Wigglytuff, which ended up being my 140th Pokemon of the challenge. With another evolution out of the way, I gave my Magnemite an XP share to hold as it still needed a few levels before it would be able to evolve. Since I needed more than a handful of Magikarp patterns, I decided to head out and fish in different biomes where the ones I needed had a higher chance of spawning. The first stop on my journey would be a savanna, as there were a few I needed to catch here, mainly the Apricot Stripes pattern, which had a 5-time chance of appearing here. Within a few casts, I was able to reel in a rare Violet Rain pattern, which doesn't have a higher chance to spawn here, so this was a definite surprise as it completes the pair for me. Later that same day, I was able to get Magnemite to level 30, which meant he'd be ready to evolve into a Magneton whenever I was ready to do so. I kept fishing in the Savannah Badlands River into the night, and was able to fish up I think the rarest Pokemon I've ever fished up. Whoa! What the heck? I just fished up a big old turtle. The next chunk of days I spent almost entirely fishing. I followed the river down to the mouth of an ocean biome and fished for Magikarps there. Eventually, I ended up fishing off the edge of a village, hoping to pull up the Blue Rain Magikarp I still hadn't seen. Here, I was able to complete the final set of Apricot Magikarps I needed, leaving me with roughly 8 more sets of patterns to complete before I was finished with them. I also spent some time battling on and off while fishing, and was able to get one of my Seal leveled up enough to be able to evolve into a Dugong, which I almost forgot I needed to do as well. Soon after, I was able to complete another Magikarp pair, this time the Orange Dapples. I kept fishing as day 150 was starting to creep up on me. I kept pulling in pattern Magikarps, but the majority of them were ones I already had. Thankfully, on the evening of day 148, I was able to fish something up I still wasn't sure till this point I was able to. Oh my god. No, wrong one. I was wondering if we could grab this. This is fantastic. I knew you could find Dratini in the ocean, and since the fishing pulls from the spawn pool of whatever biome you're in, I assumed it was possible. Regardless, I was very happy to be able to cross another Pokemon from the Living Dex off my list I wasn't necessarily going for in the moment. Eventually, day 150 rolled around, and I was able to complete another Magikarp pattern pair in the Black Forehead, and was able to catch my first Gold Calico Carp as well. The next day, I was also able to finally catch my first Blue Rain Magikarp, one I had been fishing in the ocean for the past few days. After fishing for a couple more days, I eventually ran out of dive balls and was forced to return to the lab to craft more. I still needed to catch another Black Mass Magikarp, and since they have a higher chance to be fished in taiga biomes, I flew to the nearest one and began casting. Not too long after I arrived on day 154, I was able to reel one in and cross another pattern off my Magikarp list. My fishing quest then took me to a blooming valley in search of the remaining pink patterns I had not caught. I had previously no issues reeling in the pink Dapples pattern, but the pink Orca and pink Two-Tone patterns had eluded me so far. Here, I caught yet another Saucy Blue before finding my first Saucy Violet Magikarp of the challenge. I continued fishing up Magikarp, but was unable to find anything I still needed. I eventually had to move out of my fishing hole as it filled up with Magikarp and other Pokemon I didn't need. I made my way down the mouth of the river and fished on the edge of an ocean, but since I was still situated in the Sunflower Plains, I would be fishing from its spawn pool instead of the oceans. I fished here until day 157 with no luck, and decided to try to move to another biome that I needed Magikarp in, the Magical Biome. In this case, a Moonlight Valley from the Terralith Biome mod. I fished here until the morning of day 158 when... Oh, my fishing rod broke. Bro. I didn't have another Pokerod ready to go, so I had to enchant and craft another one, and for some reason, this process was incredibly annoying this time around. Why? I'm breaking everything. I didn't make the fishing. I think, where's our lapis, man? Like, why is everything downstairs? Great. Like, I can't even... Why did I do that? That was so stupid. Luck of the C3. Oh, why did I do that? After much enchanting, anviling, and mining for XP in the Nether, I was finally able to get a decent Pokerod again. The only issue with this one is that it only had Lure 2, which means I'll get Pokemon biting slightly less frequently than before. I had the thought of trying to get mending on my Pokerod so as to avoid it breaking again down the road, but I eventually gave up in the end. However, while I was in the village trying to get a mending book, something incredibly rare happened. Oh my god! Wait! It is a lucky egg! Oh my god, and an oval stone. We got a lucky egg. Oh, we got a lucky egg. We got a lucky egg. This is a crazy rare drop, and I don't think I've ever had one in Cobblemon before. Chansey alone is a less than 1% spawn chance, so to find a second one is pretty nuts, but its chance of dropping a lucky egg is only 10%. So being able to get one on my first attempt after only seeing 2 Chansey this entire challenge is crazy. Unfortunately, I had already done most of my leveling for this challenge already, so I don't have much use for it at this point in the video, but if we decided to do the remaining regions in another video, it'll definitely come in handy. With my new lucky egg, I went back to the lab and got sorted before heading back to the Moonlight Valley to continue fishing. After a full day of fishing, I was finally able to fish up something I needed in the gold calico pattern to complete another set. One I was still in need of were the pink patterns, but not pink dapples. I kept fishing up pink dapples no matter where I was, and I still needed another pink orca and both pink two-tone. Come on, pink dapples again? We get this all the time. We haven't seen a single other pink Magikarp. This is crazy. Pink dapples. Why? Give me regular pink. Give me pink orca or pink two-tone, whatever it is. I don't even know because I haven't had to look it up yet. I don't know. Oh my god. How many? Look at all the carps around me. Look at them all. There's some down there too. Like, oh. The pink shows up in floral and island biomes. What is an island biome? What is an island biome? What is that? I don't understand what that is. What about snowy plains? What is that? Is that both? Do you get both tags there? Oh my god, look at them all. All of them. Look at them, they're everywhere. There's some over there, there's one over there. I don't even, like... Another, I'm getting so many normal carps. I'm getting to the point where I don't even believe the other pink Magikarp are in the game. Like, they have to be glitched. There's no chance. And not only that, I haven't pulled a purple one in, like, in Magical, but it has a 5 times chance. We got a Marsh Stomp before one more Violet Raindrops. I continued fishing for an extended period of time with no luck. I even encountered another Charmander before I was even able to fish up something I needed. I didn't even know they could spawn here. Eventually, day 164 rolled around. I had continued complaining to myself as there was no one else around to listen to me, and if there's one thing Cobblemon has taught me during these challenges, it's that if you complain enough, you will be rewarded. What are you? Pink two-tone. Thank you. Finally something. Oh my god. Something we actually need. And just a few casts after the last one. Oh my god. What is happening? That's like within 3 casts. The next day, day 165, my fishing luck continued. Oh! Wait! Oh, we got it! Okay, we're done. Dragonair! We got it. We weren't even going for it. I didn't think you could catch that here. That's amazing. This one was a wonderful surprise. I had never even considered that I could potentially fish up the last Pokemon I needed to complete the Dragonite line, but since it can spawn in Overworld anywhere there is water, it makes complete sense. Either way, I only had a handful of Pokemon remaining before my challenge was complete. Through the next few days, I fished up yet another Violet Rain Magikarp, another Dratini, and countless other Magikarp duplicates. On day 168, I finally fished up the final pink Magikarp I had been searching for. Only 2 Magikarps remained, a Saucy Violet and a Blue Rain. I fished for another 4 days through rain or shine. I was so close, nothing could deter me at this point. On day 172, my perseverance paid off. That's the one. With the Saucy Violet Magikarp pair complete, I only needed one more Magikarp to be finished with my task, the Blue Rain pattern. I had only ever seen one through the entirety of the challenge to this point. The final leg of my fishing journey would take me back to the snowy plains on the edge of a frozen ocean biome where it had the best chance of appearing. I fished for 4 days, reeling in all sorts of rare Pokemon, including a couple of Piplup and a handful of saucy blue patterned carp. On the 4th day, day 176, my fishing journey finally came to an end. I'm just gonna catch it. Oh, that's it. Wait a minute, that's it. Oh, that's it. We caught them all. Look at, that's it. Yeah, it's got the rain pattern. Oh my god, finally. With all the patterned Magikarps collected, I turned my focus to the remaining handful of Pokemon I hadn't caught. Still needing a Porygon, I placed PCs down in the backyard of my lab in hopes of raising its spawn chance. While I waited for Porygon to spawn, I decided now would be the perfect time to finish the roof and remaining walls of my lab. I spent a few days finishing the build, finally, before placing a Pokeball pattern on the roof so that it would show on my map. With the lab completed on day 179, I needed something else to do to pass the time while waiting for a Porygon to spawn. I still needed to evolve all of the Magikarps into their patterned Gyarados forms, and I still needed to assemble a fossil resurrection station to revive the fossils once I obtained them all, so I went down into the caves to gather the required materials for both. Iron, deep slate, amethyst shards, and anything else I needed to build the fossil machines, and more EXP shares. After returning to the surface with the required materials, I crafted all the components for the fossil restoration machine and placed it on the second floor of the lab. I made a nice little fossil display area using some display cases I crafted. Afterwards, I crafted enough EXP shares to give to a full party of Magikarps before starting the process of leveling them up around the lab. I battled a bunch of wild Pokemon around the lab, and with the help of the lucky egg I got a little while ago, the process went very quick. However, by the time I had finished, there was still no sign of Porygon. I tried different layouts for the PCs over the course of a bunch of days and still had no luck. I saw many different Pokemon while waiting, including some far more rare than the one I was looking for. Why are we getting an Articuno before... Oh, I'm so annoyed. Like, come on. I eventually ended up placing some PCs up near my fossil lab as the floor was made of slabs, so the only thing that could spawn up there would be Porygon. On day 192, while waiting, this struggle got to me just a little. Porygon, where are you?
12 seconds later.
Oh! Yes! What the heck? Oh, where are you? There you are. Oh my god. Look at him. There he is. Porygon. Alright, finally. With Porygon finally caught, I was able to bring my Living Dex total to 143 Pokemon. Only 8 Pokemon remaining. Once I had cleaned up the mess of PCs around my lab, it was time to turn my attention to the fossil Pokemon. As I had luckily already found an old Amber back on day 106, there were only 2 fossils I needed to find. The Dome fossil for Kabuto, and the Helix fossil for Omanite. These fossils were going to be a bit tricky. The Dome fossil has a chance to generate in different fossil structures just like every other fossil, but the guaranteed spawn is in a prehistoric hydrothermal vent, which generate at the bottom of the oceans, making them a little difficult to find if I don't want to drown. Which I don't. Thankfully, the Helix fossil's guaranteed spawn structure are in quite the opposite biome, and that is the prehistoric sandy den, which generates in any biome that has sand, except for beaches. I thought about it for a bit and figured the Helix fossils would be easier to find, so getting them out of the way first would be smart. I was right. I started searching for them in badlands and dry regions, checking any structure I found that had the potential to have them generated within. Over the course of a few days, I was able to grab a jaw fossil, an armor fossil, and a sail fossil, all of which I sadly do not need. Eventually, on day 195, I stumbled across my first sandy den, which can be identified by the dripstone hanging from the outcrop. After brushing a few suspicious sand blocks, I was finally able to grab my first of the 2 Helix fossils. Oh, Helix fossil! Look at that! Yeah, there we go. We got the Helix fossil, perfect. Later that same day, I was lucky enough to find the second Helix fossil I needed by chance. Oh, another Helix fossil. There we go. Look at that. We only need Kabuto now. That's it. That's the last one. With both Helix fossils acquired, I made my way back to the lab to drop them off before heading out to search for the Dome fossils. As I mentioned, the structures I'll be looking for spawn at the bottom of the ocean floor, so having to return to the surface every 15 seconds to breathe will be annoying. Luckily, I have a way around that. If I hop on the back of Michelangelo, my Blastoise, I'll gain the water breathing potion effect indefinitely until I hop off, meaning I'll be able to scan the ocean floor as long as I want. I skimmed the ocean floor for 2 days straight without finding a single hydrothermal vent. I found one structure on day 196 and was able to find both a root fossil and a fossilized fish, but unfortunately no dome fossil. It wasn't until day 197 when I found my first vent, and it was way harder to see than I thought it would be. I began to brush away the suspicious gravel and had some difficulty finding the fossil I was looking for. Thankfully, after a bit of time, I was able to find the first of 2 dome fossils. Is that it? That's it! Oh, give me that. Dome fossil, right there. Ah, I'm gonna drown! Dome fossil. We got one. We need one more. One more and we're done with the fossils. And then it's just Mew and Mewtwo. Alright. It took me another day entirely to find a second vent to dig out for the last fossil, and finally, after looking enough, I found it. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. Hopefully. I think this is it. There it is! There it is! Come here! We got it! We're done! Yay! Where are you? Where'd you go? Oh, there you are. With all the fossils accounted for, I began my journey back to the lab, and once I had arrived back home, I began the process of reviving them all one at a time. If you've never revived a fossil in Cobblemon, allow me to briefly explain. The resurrection machine consists of 3 parts: the data monitor, the fossil analyzer, and the restoration tank. The data monitor is the component on the top that shows the progress of a fossil being revived. It takes 12 real-time minutes for a fossil to completely restore. The fossil analyzer is the lower component. This is where you put your fossil, or fossils if you're reviving the Galarian fossil Pokemon, before activating the machine. The big tank on the side is the restoration tank. In order to activate the resurrection process, this tank must be filled with organic material equaling a total value of 64. Items vary in value weight, from seeds accounting for a value of 1, all the way to max revive accounting for the complete sum of 64. There are other items such as an enchanted golden apple or nether stars that account for a value of 256, but if you're using those items to revive a fossil instead of 64 seeds, I mean, hey, power to you. With the old amber placed in the fossil analyzer, we can finish filling the tank and start the resurrection process. While I wait for the fossils to be restored, now would be as good a time as ever to talk to you guys about something important I haven't mentioned yet. I wanted to quickly take the time to thank you all for clicking on and watching my video. If you watched all the way from the beginning, skimmed through, or even just clicked on it briefly, thank you. I'm the only one who works on my videos, and seeing how you all interact with this or any of my previous videos really makes it worthwhile. So if I could ask you all just for one thing, please leave a like if you enjoyed this video. It lets the YouTube algorithm know you enjoyed my content and tells it to push my channel out to more and more viewers, which in turn helps me to continue growing. It also tells me you guys are enjoying the content as well. If you really liked it, consider subscribing. We started at 0 almost 9 months ago, and at the time I'm recording this, we're almost at 17,000 subscribers, which is insane. If you could, please consider subscribing and helping me reach 25,000 within the first year. You can always change your mind later. Now, with all the shameless plugging out of the way, let's get back to the end of the video. After grabbing Aerodactyl, Kabuto, and Omanite from the restoration tank, I spent the next little bit leveling the 2 up to level 40 so I could evolve them into Kabutops and Omanite. With the 2 fossils evolved and grabbing the final Kabuto from the restoration tank, I was able to complete the fossils and add another 5 to my Living Dex total, bringing me to 148 Pokemon on day 204. As I was putting them in their spots on the PC, I realized I had forgotten to evolve both Seal and Magnemite, so I did that quickly to add Dugong and Magneton to my total as well, bringing me all the way to 150 Pokemon. I did it again. Just like in my first Catch 'em All video, I miscounted somewhere along the way, and this time I am 1 over where I should be. The good thing about this time around is I have all the Pokemon organized in their boxes, so I know I'm not missing anything, and my real total is 149. First person to find out where I went wrong and let me know in the comments wins. I don't know what you win, but I'll decide on a prize later on. After putting the last 2 Pokemon back in their designated slots in my PC, the only holes left to fill were Mew and Mewtwo. However, before getting ready to set out and search for the final 2 Pokemon of the challenge, I still had to evolve all the pattern Magikarp variants into Gyarados. This was pretty cool. To see all the different patterns of the Gyarados was definitely worth the time and effort.
A lot of them look the same, to be honest. Oh, this one's kind of cool, the dark one. There you go, 3 unique Gyarados forms. Pretty cool looking. And then here we go with the very rare blue and violet Magikarps. All of them at the same time. All of them evolving. Boom! Oh, the blue becomes like a really deep purple. And these ones become like a magenta. Whoa! That's colorful. Look at that. Just lined up. Yeah, they look awesome. Cool. Fancy dragons. Fancy dragons. Cool. Happy we did that. Happy we got that out of the way.
After looking at all of them and putting them back in the PC, it was time to get back to work. With 149 Pokemon caught for my Living Dex, the remaining 2 were going to be the most challenging to catch yet. Or so I thought. The first of the 2 Pokemon I was going to have to catch to complete my challenge was Mew, the only mythical Pokemon from Generation 1. Like every other legendary or mythical Pokemon in Cobblemon, Mew does not spawn naturally in the base mod, so you'll need to have a secondary mod installed that allows you to catch it without spawning it in with cheats. The mod I chose to go with during this challenge was the Cobblemon Legends Untold add-on by TS Flareon. This mod adds a couple new structures where Pokemon can spawn, like the Faraway Ruin where Mew can be found. To locate a Faraway Ruin, you'll need to find an old map which can spawn randomly in chests, so obtaining one of these will be my next task. I wasn't really sure where to start as I had already covered a pretty good portion of the world so far and had not found a map to this point, so I decided to start filling in the empty areas around where I had already been. I flew around on Brazinger, my other Charizard, and scanned the horizon for any interesting structures that may hold an old map. I checked out any Gimmighoul structures as well in case they were able to spawn there, but I had no luck. On day 210 while it was raining, I remembered seeing a chest in the legendary geode I discovered earlier on in the challenge and flew into a cave in hopes of finding another one. I flew around the caves for a while, checking my map for geodes, but once again was unable to find what I was looking for. After returning to the surface, I continued on filling in the empty areas of my map, looking for anything I could check out. Eventually, I made my way over to the jungle below the volcanic peaks biome I had hunted Charmander on, and decided to explore the area. What is that? Wait a minute. No, that's not it. Oh my god, I got so scared. I got so scared for a sec. After scanning the jungle for a while, I noticed something out of place on my mini-map. Wait a minute. Uh-oh. Hold on. Okay. Wait. Okay, wait. I don't want to get close to that. I don't know if that's it. I might be overreacting. There's no way. There's no way that's it, right? Like, we were that close to it? There's no way. Why does it look like that, though? Grass block. No, wait. Oak leaves? That's so it. That's absolutely it. Though I wasn't 100% sure this structure was in fact the faraway ruin I was looking for, I still didn't want to take the risk of losing out on Mew. I placed a waystone down and traveled home quickly to prepare for a potential battle with the mythical Pokemon. I crafted myself a healing table to bring back with me, and also made sure to grab a brush to use for something afterwards before returning to the jungle. Here we are. Right behind my head you can see a pillar, and the more I look at it, the more I think it actually is it. So we're gonna go check it out. With a good amount of Pokeballs and my best team assembled, it was time to find out if this structure was indeed a faraway ruin. Guys, I'm so scared. I'm so scared right now. Oh, it's spawned! There it is! Mew! Oh my, there you are! We did it! We found 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 it! Oh my god. There he goes. Whoa, it teleported! Okay, hold on. I gotta get in battle with it. I don't want it to, Okay. I think we just throw a quick ball. I don't want to deal with any of the repercussions. Yeah, quick ball. Nope, did not work. Did not work. Okay. Baton pass. Okay, so it has baton pass.
I'm gonna go for Thunder Wave.
Oh, it's level 30. Okay, it is level 30.
Reflect type. Okay, interesting.
No way! Oh my god! We caught it! We caught it! We caught it! We caught it! We caught Mew! We caught Mew! We caught Mew! Oh my god! We have one more Pokemon! We have one more Pokemon! One more Pokemon and we're done. We're done. After, I don't even know how long it's been.
Yeah, look at you. You're so cute. You're so cute. You're such a little guy.
With Mew caught and added to my party, there was only one Pokemon left to catch before I could complete my Living Dex. Mewtwo. To catch Mewtwo, you need to obtain Mew DNA, which can be excavated around structures from the legendary mod I'm using. After digging around a little with my brush, I was able to uncover a strand of Mew DNA. Oh, there it is. That's it. Oh,
That's it right there. That's exactly what we're looking for. Oh man. Okay, this is it. That's the last thing we needed.
with the Mew DNA in my possession, I was now able to start the process of creating Mewtwo within my restoration machine. After placing the DNA inside the analyzer, all I needed to do to initiate the machine was to fill the tank.
As soon as I start this, it's just gonna go. I'm gonna get situated and have Mewtwo growing in the tank, I believe. And then when that's done, we're gonna try and finish the challenge. That's it. So I guess we'll see you guys in a second. Apple in hand. Didn't go. Wait a minute. It didn't go. Wait. Why didn't it go?
Are we missing something?
I have no idea why that didn't go. I believe it was supposed to start. Genuinely confused. So
Unfortunately, I was unaware that a second item was needed to initiate the creation process, and the item needed was either a nether star or a comet shard. Great. Thankfully, I remembered seeing a comet shard in the same Terra Den I mentioned earlier, but upon checking my storage area, I discovered I didn't have it. So I decided to go back and check the den once again. Fortunately, the comet shard was still there, and I was able to collect the final piece of the puzzle. For real this time. Back at the lab with the shard, I was able to activate the machine and start the process of waiting for Mewtwo to be ready.
okay. We're back. Finally, we have everything that we need, I believe. So, with this comet shard right here in my hand, this thing right here, this should be enough to revive Mewtwo in the tank behind us. So I'm gonna try that, and then it's just gonna be a waiting game. So once I use this comet shard, that should be it, and then we're gonna have to take on Mewtwo, and hopefully we're strong enough, because I don't know. I'm gonna be honest, I have no clue. But I'll see you guys in just a second.
All that was left for me to do was to take on and catch the strongest and final Pokemon of the challenge.
I'm really nervous this is it. If I just use a Pokeball, I thought he was going to break out of the tank. I'm going to be completely honest. Alright. I'm so scared.
That's it!
Wait a minute, what? We just have Mewtwo. Okay, that's it. Unbelievable. We're done. We're done. Look at him.
As anticlimactic as that was, I was absolutely thrilled to have finally finished the challenge I set out to complete over 200 Minecraft days ago.
That feels so good to be done. That feels so good to be done. I don't know why.
I do not know why. This somehow feels better than the previous challenge. I can't explain why. I have no clue, because it shouldn't. But with that, we are going to put them in their proper spots in the Pokedex, or in the PC. These guys have to move down, because we need... Where are we here? Mewtwo, right there, and Mew. The final Pokemon in the Pokedex. After placing Mew and Mewtwo in their respective slots in the PC, my Generation 1 Living Cobbledex was finished. This was an incredibly difficult challenge and really pushed me. In some ways, I would say more than my last Catch 'em All did, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't just as, if not more fun. I love creating these videos, and I'm extremely lucky to be able to share these challenges with all of you. If you did enjoy this video, please drop a like before you head out, and consider subscribing. It really does help me grow the channel, and it would mean the world. Also, make sure to tell me what you thought of the video in the comments below, and let me know your ideas for future challenges you'd like to see, whether it's the next Living Dex or something else entirely. With all that said, thank you once again for clicking on and watching my video. I'll see you next time.